Most of you know who I am. Okay. Thanks everybody for being on time. I know most of you know me, but my name is Bruce Johnson, and I serve as the chief of the Auxiliaries Youth Programs Division. This evening is our fourth quarterly AUXSCOUT All-Hands Staff Forum for 2023, and I appreciate the questions that were submitted in advance. Before I go any further, I want to mention that I'm going to be posting several URLs on the screen over the course of this slide deck. Holly has all of those URLs and will be copying them into chat as we get to each of those pages. So if you'd rather than madly scribbling them down, you may want to copy them out of chat when we get to them. So this evening we'll start with AUXSCOUT news, and then we'll go to your questions and any discussion topics that you'd like to cover. Tonight's forum is scheduled to be about 60 minutes, and we have a pretty full agenda, but we're going to leave your mics open. But please, if you have stuff going on in the background, or I'm hearing some clicking around, if you're transmitting noise, I'd appreciate your muting your mic. Hold your questions to the end of a section unless you have an urgent one. And if you do, go ahead and ask it. We want to make sure that we cover what you need covered. If you'd prefer to use the chat box, that's also okay too. And feel free to leave your video camera on. So we will start with the latest news, and we have several topics that we're going to cover. Tech Talks and Quick Tips, Rechartering and Auxiliary Association grants, annual charter agreements, new ship updates, web updates, and succession planning. And actually, I think there are one or two more topics that I squeezed in after I put this slide together. So we will get to them in due course. And I'm going to PJ O'Neill on the spot. Normally I put him late in on the agenda, but I'm going to give him first shot this evening to update us on what he and his team are working on for Tech Talks, Quick Tips, and any AUXSCOUT workshops. So PJ, take it away.
All right, well, thank you, Bruce, and good evening, everyone. Just a brief reminder, if you are not aware of the Tech Talks, the Tech Talk program, the Tech Talks are held on the fourth Tuesday of each month at 9 p.m. Eastern at 2100 hours Eastern. And if you've never used these for training or passed along the word, at least down the chain about the Tech Talks, please do so. Tech Talks are recorded and posted on both the AUXSCOUT YouTube channel and the C-Scout YouTube channel. Thank you to Peter Sargent. I urge you, if you have not liked and subscribed to the channel, to please do so. Check it out. I am putting the link to the AUXSCOUT YouTube channel in our chat box. And so you can see all of the Tech Talks workshops and quick tips that have ever been uploaded. Last month we had Commodore Sue Davies, who is a NACO for IT, do a Tech Talk on leadership. And the leadership model was from basically the Coast Guard leadership model. So while it was highly applicable to our future leaders and youth leaders within the Sea Scouts right now, there are a lot of takeaways for the average auxiliarist and auxiliarists in leadership positions. So from last month's Tech Talk, I would urge you, if you're looking for high quality training for your division or flotilla, the whole Tech Talk is applicable, but here's the beauty of recorded material. You can pick out the sections that fit the timing that you need and the sections that are most applicable to you. Next month's Tech Talk is going to be presented by Dr. Robin Pope. a commensurate expert in paddlecraft and head of the Directorate for Paddlecraft Safety in the auxiliary. If you have not attended a tech talk with Robin Pope before, you're in for a real treat. So I would urge you to pass along the word to your Sea Scout counterparts to try to get as much live participation as possible, so that we can enrich the tech talk with questions from Sea Scouts as well as auxiliaries, and also pass along the word about the YouTube channel if people can't make the tech talk, which is scheduled for November 28th. The title of next month's Tech Talk on November 28th is AUXPAD, How Auxiliary Paddling Can Help Your Scouting Programs. Now, I won't read the whole synopsis. That will be posted with the webinar invitation on the AUXSCOUT Facebook page. But it will include, direct connections to the growing sport of paddlecraft and Sea Scout rank advancement, and the opportunity for the auxiliary to help build the paddling community from the auxiliary side, as well as supporting Sea Scout ships. And this can also be used as a recruitment tool. There is no tech talk in December. With the holiday season coming upon us, there's a lot of activity that many of us and the Sea Scouts and their families are involved in. So we take December off. Branch Assistant Hiram Muscabi and I will be working to put together the program for the new year for 2024. So in December, though there won't be a tech talk coming out, look forward to receiving a schedule of the opening tech talks for 2024. As well as on the as tech talks on the YouTube channel, there are several quick tips that relate to commonly asked questions, usually relating to administration or problems or opportunities between the auxiliary and Sea Scouts. 2024 will be looking to enhance the library. There are several posted, and we'll be looking to increase that. But to do that, I do need input from the AUXSCOUT staff. What types of issues or questions do you see as needing guidance, needing clarification, things that would be helpful? I'm going to put my email in the chat box so that when you have those ideas, you can send them along to me, and we can get a quick tip produced. Nothing official, but of course, we know that when information comes out regarding the Summer Eagle and AIM program, that Jim Wolf will surely be keeping us updated with the information, but still keep that on the back burner, as especially for AIM, that the high schoolers make their summer plans early as to where they're going, what types of camps and certain summer activities are often planned months ahead of time. So while the exact details may not be out yet, do keep in mind that both the Summer Eagle program and AIM are quickly coming on the horizon. That's all I have for Bruce, for now, Bruce, unless there are any specific questions.
Thanks very much, PJ. Are there any questions for PJ about any of this? Well, if you think of anything later, or if you want to put them in chat, please go ahead and we'll make sure that we cover your questions. Thanks so much. Next up is John Reese, who will be talking with us about social media to promote AUXSCOUT.
All right, thank you, Bruce. Just wanted to talk a little bit about how you can use your own unit's social media accounts to promote the AUXSCOUT program. Could you go to the next slide, please? I forgot that I had those stupid animations in there. Sorry about that. Basically, earlier this year, the A Directorate implemented the new standard SOP for the social media programs for specific units, and I saw that Rick Corrales is on the call right now, so he could always jump in and correct me if I'm wrong on anything I'm about to say. But basically, there are new guidance available for flotillas, divisions, and districts for their social media programs and the different accounts that they can use, which is good because there hasn't been a lot of guidance on that in the past, and there's a lot of contradictory information. So everything is very clear and straightforward now. You could skip the next two slides. There's all the different social media platforms that we can use. You can skip ahead. Most of these aren't available for most of units, but every flotilla, every division, and every district can have its own Facebook page now. Facebook is one of our biggest platforms here at the AUXSCOUT level. There's 3 billion Facebook users. They're all pretty old now, and they're getting older. I don't think younger people are using Facebook as much anymore, especially the actual Sea Scouts. But it is good for engaging with older auxiliarists, recognizing accomplishments, and promoting upcoming events. And that's available for every level of the auxiliary. Next one, please. Facebook and Instagram are the same company. Younger people tend to use Instagram. This is my own personal favorite social media platform. 1.5 billion users. There's a lot of younger users, as you can see in those demographics there. Good story-based engagement, good for building brand awareness, also good for getting the word out about upcoming events and highlighting different things that you've used. You can skip to the next slide. I have a time limit, that's why I'm kind of rushing through this. There's X and Twitter. I don't like using this because of certain changes that have happened on this platform within the last year or so. Younger people don't tend to use it as much as they have been. It cannot be used by flotillas, as far as I know, and it can't be used by divisions, but it can be used at the district level for getting information out. It is good for getting urgent announcements out and things like that, but it's not, of course, a emergency channel. Let's skip to the next one. PJ did a great job of introducing the AUXSCOUT YouTube channel. YouTube can also be used at the district level for getting information out and posting videos. So next slide, please. This is what I wanted to talk about. So if you are going to start your own unit's social media account, if you don't already have one, there's a few important things to keep in mind. Of course, no copyright infringement. Anything about the official Coast Guard stuff has to be cleared with them. If you have a unit account, you can only share content from other Coast Guard Auxiliary, or official government accounts. There's a lot of good information out there from like the Fish and Wildlife Service, from NOAA, other groups like that. You can only like or follow official accounts. So unfortunately, this means that you can't follow or like specific Sea Scout ships, which have a lot of accounts on Instagram, I know. It means you can't like or follow the Scouts BSA account or the Sea Scout account, things like that. Another thing, no pictures of minors. There's an asterisk there. The auxiliary has something called the 7020 form, which is a permission slip basically for parents to give their permission for images of their children to be used on social media accounts. There are 2 versions of this form. One of them is also applicable for the Sea Scouts too. So that's good to know, and you can find that online in the forms warehouse. Then other things too, if you're going to post anything, keep proper uniforms on, you protect OPSEC things, moderate the content, make sure people aren't posting anything they shouldn't be posting. I had to disable the chat feature on the official AUXSCOUT Facebook account because some people were promoting some things that really shouldn't have been there. That's all I'll say about that. Next page, please, Bruce. And then other fun facts. If you are going to do this, this is more the A Directorate side, but social media managers should complete the AUX20 program and be familiar with social media in general. Don't do anything controversial, nothing political. Focus on news related to your unit. This includes interaction with the Sea Scouts and things like that. It's a great way to promote that. Make sure you tag the AUXSCOUT page if you are posting anything about the Sea Scouts. And yeah, just keep it updated and keep yourself safe. I'll be happy to answer any other questions later, but that's about it for now, Bruce.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any questions that people would like to ask at this point? Well, put your thinking caps on. I'm sorry, was there a question?
Yeah, Bruce. Hi, this is Rick Corrales. Just to
Hi, Rick.
clarify one piece, we can follow and like Sea Scout ships because it is part of the AUX program, so we can do that.
Thank you, Rick, for clarifying that. That was something I was wondering about too.
No problem.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other questions or comments on this? We can return to this at the end if you think of something that comes up a little later, or you can follow up afterwards as well. So we're going to talk a little bit about rechartering ships, and I'm not sure whether Ron is prepared to start here, or I can cover what's on this slide and then turn it over to him in a minute, whichever he prefers.
Hey, we can do it either way. It's okay.
Well, let me do this this slide and the next one, and then I'll turn it over to you.
Sounds good.
Okay. For those of you who may be new to this, every Sea Scout ship has to recharter with the Boy Scouts of America once a year. Most do it in December, which means for those units, they should be well into the recharter process. This is particularly of concern to us for auxiliary chartered ships, and there are 34 of those. We would like to ask that you monitor the quality of the ship's program, and if they're struggling, please don't wait to the last minute to help them out. See what you can do to help them to be successful. A question that's come up in the past is whether we need to recharter with the Coast Guard every year, and the answer is no. Once the ship has their Coast Guard charter, they're done with that process and they don't have to worry about that again. But on that subject, 6 of the 34 auxiliary chartered ships still lack Coast Guard charters, and we've referred this to their district staff officers, and hopefully we'll take care of that in short order. And Ron reminded me earlier today that there is a really good tutorial on rechartering, and it's on Vimeo with a long URL, but I created a tiny URL which should make it much easier to find. The video is less than 15 minutes long and will demystify the process to a very great degree. So with that, I will turn it over to Ron.
Okay. Well, I am going to back up for a 1/2 second only because I want to mention the importance of getting the Coast Guard charter. One of our ships here in 9th Central had never gotten theirs. It got lost several times, and so when we finally got a new Durox, he wanted everything redone. Well, at this time of year, at least here in our part of the country, we're doing elections of new flotilla officers and everything else. So consequently, we don't know who the flotilla commander is going to be for their flotilla yet. So, it's one of those things where it's always good to get these things done in advance. So right now we're kind of holding until we know what's going on with their flotilla so that we can make sure everybody's got youth protection training, because that is a requirement. And, or I should say, if you look on the charter form, it tells you who needs to be done, so it's okay. But it's pretty straightforward, and it's not hard to figure it all out. It's just you have to make sure if they're not registered in AuxData II with that information, they have to submit their certificate of youth protection training with their request for the auxiliary charter. Just one of those fun things to learn as you're going on. Rechartering fees. Every year, the Boy Scouts of America, especially the local councils, charge the charter partner a flat fee for the registration for the rechartering of a unit or chartering of a unit. It's usually in the $100 to $200 range. I'm not talking about the registration of every single adult or every single youth or anything else. I'm just talking about the physical BSA chartering fee. We are very fortunate that the AUXA has agreed to help reimburse ships or any of our, doesn't really matter, if it's a division, if it's a flotilla, whoever the charter partner is, they are more than willing to help to refund those particular fees. If you've had a ship for a few years, they will even go back and retroactively take care of you. But it's only for the actual recharter fee. So keep that in mind. But it's pretty straightforward, and which makes it kind of interesting. We also have from them, and it's part of their direct grants to unit, which is why that page's URL is up there. The other, and there's the direct link, which I think is a whole lot easier, by the way, using the Sea Scout registration link. So it's a great way to get that done. You know, it can save your flotilla or your division $1,200 a year. Hey, that's great as we have it. So that's the information on that particular topic. Next up, sir.
Okay, thank you very much, Ron. Please make sure to pass this information to the flotillas and divisions that are rechartering their Sea Scout ships. This will help to make it more affordable for everybody. Now, on this same topic, we have I want to talk about one particular problem that will probably only relate to 1 or 2 units, but I want to make you aware of it. On the subject of rechartering your auxiliary chartered ship, every organization that agrees to charter a BSA unit is asked by the local council to sign an annual charter agreement. This agreement spells out what the council commits to do to support your scout group. It also spells out what the chartered organization, in our case, the local auxiliary flotilla or division, agrees to do to supervise and support the scout group. Although BSA has a recommended standard language for this annual charter agreement, the local council is free to adjust it to meet their local requirements. The reason why I'm talking about this is that a few councils have incorporated language in the annual charter agreement that we cannot accept. On the screen, you see a couple of sections from one such annual charter agreement that deals with management of funds and property. Sections 1, 2, 3, and 5 on the screen are just fine, and we can accept them with no trouble. The problem is with section 4, which asks the charter organization to provide their Internal Revenue Service Employer Identification Number, or EIN, to the scout group for the purpose of opening a separate bank account for the scout group. Coast Guard and auxiliary policy prohibits sharing our EIN for this purpose, and as a consequence, we can't agree to this language. If you're presented with this clause, what we would like you to do is to strike it out and sign the agreement without any other alterations. It'll be up to the local Scout Council to decide whether they will accept the edited agreement. If they can't accept it as edited, then they'll need to work with the Scout unit to find another chartered organization. Incidentally, the procedure that BSA and the auxiliary agreed to in 2019 was for a Scout unit to apply to the IRS for their own EIN for any bank accounts that they would need. We are only aware of 2 councils that are taking this approach. And if your local council insists on having this language in the annual charter agreement, please let your DSOAS and me know about it. Are there any questions on this point?
Yeah, Bruce, I just have a quick question.
Sure.
You know, before we sign such these chartering agreements, which I've done in the past, not really even thought about this, do we need to run these past our DSO-LPs by any chance?
No.
Okay.
No, this was agreed to as a part of the overall agreement with the Boy Scouts of America, and they're not asking us to do anything that we hadn't agreed to do otherwise. It's just this one particular point where we cannot provide our EIN to the Sea Scout ship for their bank accounts.
Excellent, thank you.
Bruce, this is Craig Burkhart. Who are the two
Yeah.
councils that are attempting to require this, if you know?
One is the council in Albany, New York, and the other is a council in Connecticut. And I'm sorry, I think it's Connecticut Rivers Council, but I'm not certain.
Okay, thank you. I assume that if we run across this with any other council, we should make sure to alert you to the fact that a third council is now requesting this. Thank you.
Correct. Yeah, we're
We're-
trying to keep this as low key as we possibly can, because as you may know, each local council is its own separate operation. It has basically a franchise partnership with the national office, but provided that they're not doing anything that BSA prohibits them from doing, they're free to tinker with this to meet their local needs.
We're also going through the same thing with Suffolk County, Long Island, New York Council.
Okay, well, this is the guidance that we can give to you, and I'll be interested to hear whether they are willing to accept that that change. I have run this by Coast Guard Auxiliary Legal, and they don't want flotillas or divisions to innocently agree to this because this isn't something that we're allowed to do.
Question,
Yes.
okay, if each unit is expected then to develop its own EIN, what are the tax implications for the unit?
I'm not a lawyer and I couldn't tell you.
I guess bluntly, I'm asking, are we expected to file taxes?
I have never heard of a scout group filing taxes.
My previous one was tied into a nonprofit, but I honestly don't know either. That's why I'm asking the question.
I've been a scouting adult for over 50 years. I've never seen a scout group file a tax return. Remember that scout groups are not legal entities.
Bruce, a question.
Yeah.
These paragraphs just
Hello?
Whoops.
are actually not part of the national verbiage. Local councils put these in. Hello?
The
Can you hear me?
national national has suggested language for the annual charter agreement, but each council is free to do whatever they want in this regard. I'm being overly broad, but there isn't a single standard one that is used by every council.
Okay, I have a question.
Go ahead.
We're getting into this way deeper than I wanted to, but all right, go ahead.
Sure, which one?
You.
Okay, if I remember right, our unit scout ship got their own identification number, which I
Right.
guess is so they could open up their own bank account. Is that the only reason for it, really?
That is really the only reason for it, and the BSA's unit policy that was written in 2015 recommended that the unit contact the IRS directly to fill out the form and get the EIN for the unit. There has been a updated version of that, but BSA has has not, the only written guidance that we've gotten from BSA on this was back in 2019 when they told ships to do what we were just saying, which was to contact the IRS and request an EIN for the bank accounts. I am certain that they are hoping to change that policy for everybody, but they haven't reached out to the auxiliary to ask us to do that.
Okay,
And
as a
we
by the
can't-
way, I think we tried to help get him set up an account with Navy Federal, but that wouldn't fly.
Bruce, one other reason to have an EIN is it allows you within the state to get tax-free status.
Okay.
So sales tax is a good example. The unit needs to buy anything.
Remember that a scout unit is only a not-for-profit group if the chartered organization is a not-for-profit group. So yeah, we're really getting off topic here. Can we move on and then circle back to this if there are more questions that we haven't addressed? Okay, here we go. Okay, is Mac McBride on the call? I know he was working this evening and there was a good chance that he wasn't going to be able to make it.
I do not see Mac.
Okay. All right. Well, let me cover this topic. We're entering a very busy season for starting new ships and rechartering, and I'd like to take a few minutes to go over what you need to be doing to charter a new ship. As of today, there are 34 Coast Guard auxiliary chartered ships in BSA's registration system. There are another 16 prospective auxiliary sponsored ships that we're working on. Of these, 3 or 4 look like they should come in before year's end. That'll bring the number of auxiliary chartered ships to 37 or 38. At this time last year, we had 26. And just as a reminder, in 2020, when this program started, there were 0. So we've gone from 0 to 34 in 3 years. Currently, the following districts lead the country with the most number of ships. 5th Southern has 7 ships. 8th Coastal has 6. 1st Southern and 5th Northern have 4 ships each. And D7 and 8th Western Rivers have 3 ships each. The following districts currently charter 1 or 2 ships. 1st Northern, 8th Eastern, 9th Eastern, 9th Central, 9th Western, and 11th Southern. That means that there still are 3 districts that are not chartering any ships at this point. There are 630 youth and adult members of auxiliary chartered ships and 219 Sea Scout auxiliaries recorded in AuxData. That shows solid benefits to both the auxiliary and the Sea Scouts, and it really does show that we are making a difference for both organizations. Now, I'm just reminding you that we track all of the ships that we have as well as the ones that we're working on. If there are any changes, if there are any new ships, if any ships have changed sponsors, please let your DSO know, as well as Mac McBride and me. And as a final reminder, we have a really good checklist for organizing new Sea Scout ships, and the tiny URL is here on the screen, and Holly will be copying that into chat in a moment if she hasn't already. No, she has already got it there. Okay, cool.
Bruce, can I ask a question?
Yes.
So that page you just had up before that showed which units are affiliated with what ship, is that online somewhere we can see that?
It isn't, but it's in the AUXSCOUT Dropbox folder. All of the DSOs and ADSOs, well, I'll take that back. I know all the DSOs have access to it. I will make a point of sending it out to the DSOs and ADSOs after this meeting, so that they have access to it.
Okay, and then last question about that is how does the association take place? Does somebody report that we're working with this ship and that's how it gets on this list?
Right. We hear from, it can be from the DSO, it can be from the division or flotilla that is working on it, and it's only as accurate as the information that is provided to us. So I ask the DSOs to update the prospective ship list every month, and they do their best. In some cases, the contact people that they have at the local flotilla or division level are not very good about answering emails or telephone calls. So sometimes our information is not totally up to date.
Okay. Thanks, Bruce.
Sure. Okay. All right, Ron, it's your turn to talk about our web updates.
Okie, I shall do that. We have been working diligently behind the scenes to do two things. One is to move Oxby Wiki over to a new server. As you can guess, if it says Oxby Wiki, that means it's not part of the S directorate, which is what we're part of. And so consequently, they would like to shut that server down. So we have been first and foremost working on moving all of that content. I was hoping to be able to say I had it done by today, but today's not been a wonderful day for me. So I didn't quite get it done today, but we're almost there. We're about 99.5%, 99 and 44 100% done, for those of us who remember that. So we've almost got the moved over to our new server. And at the same time, we're also moving the content from AUXSCOUT.org to AUXSCOUT.com. That is more about 90% done. And if you go right now to AUXSCOUT.com, you're not going to find anything. So, it's okay, because it's not going to direct you, because I don't have it hooked up to the server on purpose. Sometimes it's better to just let it sit there until you're ready to point it. That's all there is to it. But we've been working on making these changes in addition to some extensive work redoing the reporting mechanism that we had on AUXSCOUT.org in order to make it a little bit more friendly and a little bit easier for more people to use, especially for our DSOs and our branch chiefs and branch assistants and everybody else that we have within the S directorate. So that they can submit their reports. The original goal was that anybody could use it for submitting their reports, as long as we knew where the reports had to go. But we're going to kind of take it a little bit slow and roll it out a little bit at a time. We'll start with our staff here on the S directorate, and then we'll also work on the DSOs to get them started, and then we'll drop down to ADSOs and we'll kind of follow the curve down. But those are two things that you can look forward to. By golly, I want it done by the end of this month. So actually I want it done by the middle of the month, but that's almost here. We're working real hard on it though, and trying to get that all moved and everything all set up and working. So you can look forward to an announcement on that here very soon.
Okay, thank you very much, Ron. Are there any questions about this? Okay, thank you. Let's move on to required training. Okay. I want to, a question came up in the last couple of days about youth protection training. And let me start by saying that youth protection training is something that the Coast Guard and BSA are very serious about getting our members involved with. This is something that you have to retake every 24 months. When you've completed this training, you need to send the documentation into your district's DIROX office for entry into AuxData. The training is available online at my.scouting.org. Now, the question came up about whether it's possible to take this training in a classroom setting. And the word that I have gotten, and I am certain I'm going to get arguments about this, but the word I've gotten is that the official version of this training is the online version. The classroom-led version has been deprecated. It's no longer available from the Boy Scouts of America. I know that there are copies of that training available, but it's not available from BSA. And so if you want to take this training, you need to take it online. And if you need any clarification on this policy, you should go to your local council's training chair and ask for any details about whether the local council handles this in some other way. Now, I've also heard that some people are reluctant about taking online training for any number of reasons. And, you know, we certainly run into this with auxiliary courses as well. In situations like that, I'd encourage the person who may be a little shy about using computers to buddy up with someone who's more comfortable with using them. And they may even want to ask for help from their children or grandchildren to address this. So,
Bruce,
yes.
this is Jim White. Just so you know, Cradle of Liberty Council offers it in person because I'm a qualified instructor for youth protection training. And me and the Sea Scout Commodore for Cradle of Liberty Council, who is also the training chair in that council, we actually teach it at D-Train.
I'm just giving it to you as it was related to me. Go to your local Scout Council, and if the council's training chair gives you a different response, then go with that response. I'm just trying to provide the party line explanation. Okay. All right, moving on. The SOP, oh, and incidentally, if you are an AUXSCOUT staff officer at any level, you should have completed that training. The SOP also calls on AUXSCOUT staff officers and youth program staff to complete additional training. If you haven't already done so, please complete the Sea Scout Adult Leader Basic Training. It's available online on the BSA Learning Center at my.scouting.org. It takes about 4 hours to complete, and it's broken up into 8 basically 30-minute segments, so you don't have to do it all at once. When you're finished, save a copy of your completion certificate and have your flotilla commander send a copy of it to DIROX to be entered into your training record. This is a one-time requirement, so you don't have to take this every 2 years. You take it and you're done. And just to be clear, all AUXSCOUT staff officers at all levels are required to take this training. After completing this particular training, you might want to consider taking Sea Badge, which is a weekend training seminar that provides Sea Scout leadership training in depth. You'll learn a lot, and I promise you'll have fun. Sea Badge is offered as both a single weekend in-person course as well as a 2-weekend online course, and the online course costs very, very little. Upcoming courses can be found on the Sea Scout website at the address that you see on the screen. I believe Holly is putting that in chat. Finally, check out AUXB Wiki and the AUXSCOUT YouTube channel for additional training videos and workshops. Finally, the SOP also calls for some additional training in certain situations. When Sea Scouts are involved in swimming-related activities associated with auxiliary paddlecraft, then at least one adult must hold current BSA Safe Swim Defense Training certification. This can be fulfilled by a Sea Scout leader, but it will be the responsibility of the auxiliarist mission commander to ensure that the training has been done. Similarly, if Sea Scouts participate in a mission involving auxiliary surface facility, then at least one adult must hold current BSA safety afloat and CPR training certification prior to commencing the mission with Sea Scouts. Again, this can be fulfilled by a Sea Scout leader who is aboard the vessel, but it will be the responsibility of the coxswain to ensure that the training has been done. And just to show you where we are with all of this, Ron pulled the BSA course completions from AuxData yesterday, and this will give you a sense of how we're doing. 482 auxiliarists have completed YPT training, which is a pretty good start. Unfortunately, only 50 auxiliarists have completed Sea Scout Adult Leader Basic Training, and that's of the roughly 170 AUXSCOUT staff officers. And 4 dozen or fewer auxiliarists have completed Safe Swim Defense and Safety Afloat training. We can do better on this. Please take the time to take the required training. This isn't just something that you do to check the box. We do this so that we know enough to do our jobs, and we owe it to ourselves to make that investment.
Comment?
Yeah.
And as far as I know, the CPR training has to be done through the first Red Cross.
Does not have to be done through Red Cross. It can be done through any nationally recognized agency. I know mine, for example, is through the American Heart Association.
Somebody, so they can give you an official.
Correct.
Right.
Right. The national certifying agencies have standards that they follow for instruction for this. And you wind up with a card, and you can send a copy of that card to DIROX, and they can enter it into your AuxData record. So I just want to remind you that there are a few other avenues for getting training from the auxiliary. AUXSCOUT workshops, tech talks, quick tips, AUXB Wiki, YouTube. And if there's some topic that we haven't covered in any of those, please let us know, and we can provide one-on-one coaching, or we can provide speakers for a group. Just let us know. And if it's something that we haven't thought about, we'll think about putting it online and making it available for a larger group. So the training is available, and it's done pretty well. So any questions about training?
Bruce, I have a little question.
Yep.
The more advanced training that you were speaking of, including safety afloat and safe swim defense and some of this other, does DIROX accept the certifications? Because the only one they told me to submit was the YPT and the leader basic training.
All 4 of these courses, Safe Swim Defense, Safety Afloat, Sea Scout Adult Leader Training, and Youth Protection Training, are data points that AuxData can capture. So if you send a copy of the completion certificate to your DIROX office, they can input that information for you. And I know of at least 1 or 2 districts where they have other people authorized to add that information to your record. I'm pretty sure that 8th Coastal is one of those districts. that have somebody else who can do that.
Okay, thanks, Bruce.
Mhm.
And just as a point of reminder, safe swim defense, youth protection training, safety afloat, and actually Red Cross CPR has to be redone every 2 years. So
Right.
there you go.
It's only the Sea Scout adult leader training that is a one and done course. You take it, you never have to take it again. I think I've taken it maybe 15 times over the years, but it has changed quite a bit over time. Moving on to succession planning, as you probably know, 2023 will end in a little over a month, and some staff appointments at the flotilla division or district levels will be coming up for review. I've heard from a couple of DSOASs that they'll be moving on to new assignments. I'm pleased to say that in both cases, the outgoing DSO has identified their replacements and their district commodores have concurred with that person. Even if you don't expect to be replaced at the beginning of the coming year, I'd urge you to be looking around to identify who can fill your shoes at some point in the future. None of us will be in our current positions forever, and let's face it, the longer we serve in a single position, the less energy and imagination we bring to the job. That's just a fact of life. Find your relief and talk with them about the job's challenges and rewards. You're not trying to talk them out of taking on the responsibility, but people are more likely to take a challenge if they really understand what's involved. On the same line, there are many open DSO and SOAS positions that need to be filled. We do not want somebody who is taking a title for the imagined glory or authority that goes with it. We want leaders who will get the job done. The payoff is a stronger Sea Scout program, a stronger AUXSCOUT program, and a stronger Coast Guard and auxiliary. And I know we have several members of the national staff on this call. Your appointment runs through October 31st of next year. If you know that you're going to want to move on, please let me know. You don't have to do it right away, but don't hold on to that information until October 30th. We're going to need to start the appointment process for the next term sometime early in the summer. And if you know that you need to move on, knowing who will step into your shoes will be a really helpful thing so that we can keep on the good work. So, yeah, was there a question? Okay, well, we had several questions that came in over the last few days, and I've tried to incorporate those questions into topics we've already talked about. One that we haven't talked about is the Sea Scout flag in AuxData II. You remember I mentioned that Ron ran a report to find out how many auxiliaries in AuxData II are flagged as being Sea Scout members. The data point that he was referring to, if you look on the right side of the screen, this is what I see and what a very few people have access to. The Coast Guard headquarters opted to not make this data available because it provided age information that they didn't want to have generally available to everybody. So what you see on the left-hand side of the screen is what you would see in your personal record. And you can see that the student program information paragraph is missing from that display. If you're aware of somebody who is involved with the Sea Scouts and may not be flagged in AuxData, let your DSOAS know, or you can tell Ron or me, and we can make that that edit in their AuxData record super easy. It'll take us all of about 10 seconds to do. So just think about the people you have. You have a report from Ron on who is flagged as being a Sea Scout member, please don't share that file around because it provides PII information that is not meant to be public. But check over the list. The DSO should be able to do that, and make sure that all of your Sea Scout people are flagged in AuxData. Any questions about that? Okay, I want to quickly talk about two reporting items. I'm sure you've all seen this cartoon before, and most of us have the honor and pleasure of working with two of the most paperwork-laden organizations in America, the Coast Guard Auxiliary and the Boy Scouts of America. We make jokes about it, but here's why it's important. As of yesterday, 2 districts have logged 0 AUXSCOUT hours in 2023. Only 5th Southern, D7, 8th Coastal, 8th Eastern, and 9th Central, and D13 have logged over 1,000 AUXSCOUT hours during 2023. Judging from what I hear, a lot of time is not being logged in AuxData, and although most districts have are actively involved in AuxScout, several rarely report on what they're doing. The message that sends to your district commodore is that AuxScout is inactive in his or her district, and I really hope that that isn't true. I hear regularly from about a half dozen districts with their monthly reports. I also hear from a couple of my branch chiefs regularly with their monthly reports. For everybody else, I am not sure what you're working on. A message I have to the national staff: I've begun to work on award recommendations for the current term, and we'll be using your monthly reports as a guide for what award you should be nominated for. If I haven't been hearing what you and your team are working on, I won't have much ammunition for recommending awards. And I know that that's not why you're doing this, but I really want to make sure that everybody who is deserving of recognition gets it. I have a really good track record for getting people awards who have busted their tails for the auxiliary, but I need your reports so that we know what you're up to, what you're accomplishing, and so that I can talk knowledgeably to my bosses about all the cool stuff that you guys are working on. So, as always, we're interested in hearing from you
Bruce?
about, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Quick question about that reporting.
Yeah.
So here's the standard scenario. We teach a safe boating class, 6-hour one, and we have a bunch of Sea Scouts in the class. We submit a 70-30 as an instructor, and in the notes it says Sea Scouts, but you're not capturing that, are you?
No, we wouldn't. What you have to do, thank you, that's a great question. If you look at the online form, there is a line that says operation code. You pull down for that box, and if you are registered with the Sea Scouts, you select the code AUXSCO2. If you are not registered with the Sea Scouts, you use the code AUXSCO1. When you do that, it automatically flags it as being AuxScout related, and we get credit for it.
Can we fix those retroactively?
I think so. Ron, do you happen to know the answer to that?
If your IS officer is willing. But yeah, you can go back and add those retroactively.
If I may, you contact your IS officer, they can do it.
Okay. If I would ask your IS officer if they know how to do it, and if they don't know how to do it, they can certainly take it up their chain of leadership and management to their DSO-IS to find out what's involved in making it happen? Thank you. That was a great question. Okay, this slide is, yeah.
If we are like division SO and we are sending reports in, do those get forwarded along? Or do we need to send them separately to you as well?
Please don't send them to me directly. I get the SOAS reports from Fifth Northern every month. Jim White is really great about sending those. I know that in some other districts, what they do is they summarize the SOAS reports in their district report, which frankly is just as good. I want to know what's going on, and either of those approaches are fine. I don't want to be receiving the reports directly from FSOASs or SOASs.
Joyce, this is Bart. I can tell you directly that that unless you send me a report directly, I see nothing.
Okay, so like the quarterly meeting reports that we just sent in and did the minutes, those don't go to you?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
It's very important for staff officers to report up to their next level. So if you're an SOAS, you should be sending a copy of your report to your DSOAS, or if your district has one, an ADSOAS, or both. I'm sure both would be pleased to hear from you. Okay, this is just a reminder that if there's anything that we can do to support you better, please let us know. We won't see this as a criticism. We really want to know if there are things that we can do to support you so that you can be successful. If you think that there are priorities that we haven't considered, please let us know. And also let us know about any potential partners that we may have within the auxiliary. Please let me know by the end of the week so that you don't forget to do it. I'd like to encourage all of you to think about what specifically you're trying to accomplish. It's not enough to say that you're supporting the Coast Guard Auxiliary or the Sea Scout program. It's not enough to say that you're filling the X position, whether it's the SOAS or FSOAS or whatever. What are you trying to accomplish? How many ships are you working with in your flotilla or division or district? Is every flotilla or division engaged with the Sea Scouts? Have you explored the possibility of organizing a new ship in your AOR? I know that it's a lot of work, but if it were easy, anybody could do it. You are here for a purpose. We are trying to expand the Coast Guard, the Auxiliary, and the Sea Scout program by actively supporting the Sea Scouts using our Auxiliary and Coast Guard resources. We are not in competition with one another. If one grows, we all grow. To quote Lewis Carroll, the author of Alice in Wonderland, if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. Know where you're going, what specifically you're trying to accomplish. Don't just hold a position, do something specific. Thank you very much for all that you're doing. I'm really proud of you and the work that you're accomplishing. So we're going to open the floor for discussion in a minute, but I'd like to thank you for joining us this evening. Let me know what you liked and what you felt could have been done differently. Send me an email, and my email address is there on the screen. Please let us know what workshops you'd like to see. We're here for you. We'll make it happen. Our next quarterly workshop is actually the all-staff training workshop, which will be on January 7th at 2100 Eastern. And we really would like to have all of the AUXSCOUT staff officers in attendance at that. We're going to stay on the line a while to answer questions and provide more time to discuss topics that interest you. We're going to stop recording at this point, but we'll stay on as long as you like. For